Hi folks, just wanted to share with you this new journal, which is a project I've done for college. It's a concept journal and it's based on a very short story that I wrote, which I'll read to you in a minute. You can skip past that bit if you like. I ended up having to actually get a book and alter a Reader's Digest book for the cover, because originally I did a cover and it went completely wrong. It fell apart. I think because of the way that I printed off the material, the fabric, it became very thin and just ripped apart. So lesson learnt there. I've got to look into more ways of doing that so I can learn, because I love that fabric. And it's only a one-off because it's hand printed by me. So anyway, this is called Herstory. And here we are. If you want to skip past this bit, you can. Herstory. She wanted to express herself, but never quite felt able. She never really knew how, and always had an overwhelming feeling that something was missing, and that she wasn't quite good enough anyway. So what was the point? There would always be someone or something better. She often found herself sitting in silence, staring out of the window at the countryside, ignorant of what she was actually seeing. One warm spring day, whilst out walking along those same country lanes, she noticed a bird perched on a tree singing. It was a sound so sweet that it stopped her in her tracks. She stood listening for a few moments, mesmerised. He was quite a small bird with a full red breast, a robin probably. She'd seen them on Christmas cards. Startled, the bird stopped singing, his head tilting to one side. They stared at each other for a few moments, and then with a chirp he flew away. She watched as he disappeared into the trees. Where did he come from? How did he survive? What did he eat? Did he have babies? As she continued to walk back home, it occurred to her that she knew very little about nature. She would see it, but there was no connection. She decided then and there to start a journal and write about what she saw whilst out walking. It was a perfect time to begin. The warmer days always heralded hope. Little did she know just how cathartic it would become. This is the journal she kept during those spring and summer months. So that fits inside here, which is a, get it in. Do you know, it must be my menopausal brain because I keep forgetting words. A wax seal, which goes inside here, and this book belongs to a little journaling thing. Out of little acorns grow mighty oaks. I don't know if you can see that, if it's focused at all. And here's the window that she looks through, and there's the little bird that's there that she hasn't seen. She might have seen him occasionally but not taken any notice. Some little tuck journaling cards on that side. And then some eco-dyed paper. Time spent in nature is never wasted. And a photograph that I took whilst out walking. And here's a note from the bookmaker. Some eco-dyed paper and a stamp that's handmade that I used, flower stamp. And then there's some more journaling cards here and a piece of handmade paper. Looks like it's got some bits of leaves or something inside it. So there's the robin again there. It sits on there. And these 3 specimens that are hand-drawn specimens. I don't know if you can see those. I'll bring them up closer. And here's some. I love the texture of this. It's terrible, really. I'm addicted to paper. Worst things you can be addicted to, I suppose. A picture of an evening tree that I downloaded from Pixabay, which is a great site, by the way. I got my inspiration. Who are the people I got my inspiration from? There's the Paper Outposts. She does amazing fat journals that are packed with stuff. Jibid Neary is one of my favourites. She does a lot of eco-dyed things. And of course, Nick the Booksmith, her books tend to be quite traditional in the way that she does the outside of them, which is kind of where I got my ideas for this one. And there's loads of other artists. I'm trying to think who they are. Yvonne Preston White, she's another one. Her journals are very different from mine. They're very vintage, but I love the way, the simplicity of them and all the beautiful images that she has in them. So those are some of the people that have inspired me. Linda Matthews is another one, and a lady called Linda Israel. Linda Matthews uses a lot of materials, a lot of fabrics within hers, and they look really nice, and I want to get into that a bit more. She runs a course that I'm interested in doing. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Back to the journal. The big-eyed owl would hoot in the distance. One late evening she caught a glimpse of him through the trees. More eco-dyed paper, tag spots, roses in bloom in the neighbour's garden, such a pretty sight to her. And a little bit more of the story. It's not actually a story, it's a poem that I found that I love by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the parson there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the road less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost, it's called The Road Not Taken, and there's an image of me that I just popped in there on and a road, and two hares, because I love hares, and it was a photograph I downloaded from Pixabay. A stamp, a little booklet, more tuck spots, journaling spots, a printed image of mine to go in there. I've got plenty of other things in there too. Here is a flower that I collected, a specimen flower, and this says, my mother wrote this, it's a little ditty, it's a sweet little ditty. A little robin redbreast sat on a tree branch and lifted his head and sang a beautiful song. To the lovely sound the trees swayed and danced, as sweet joy filled the woodland all day long. And I love that, I wanted to put that in there. More journaling space. Some of that gorgeous material, I thought I would do something with it. A book, library book thingy-majig. I can't remember the name. See, it's this damn menopause thing that's happening, so I'm sorry if I'm not with it today. And a lovely little picture again from Pixabay. Postcard, you do something with that, and this says, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils, which comes from a poem by Wordsworth. My mum used to read this to me when I was a little girl, and I love it. So, and a blackbird here with the part of the story behind, and there's more of the story here. During her daily walks, she was able to reflect on her life. At one time, she found herself peering up into a tree at a blackbird. She recognised it as being the same breed of bird she had watched one morning in her garden as he was collecting to make his nest. He would give a hop, a skip and a jump as he bounded across the grass, a small stick in his beak. She kept very still, recognising the need for quiet so as not to scare him away. What a lovely experience, she thought, something she would look back on with pleasure, just like the daffodils, her pensive moments filled with joy, which I thought was lovely. More photographs from me, little sketches and birds, more sketches. We weren't allowed to use any digikits for this by someone else. It all had to be my own artwork. Apart from the photos, I could use a few of those. Another little sketching, journaling thing from me, and then this says, the old oak tree, such an inspiration and comfort. We've got lots of oak trees around where I live. So. And just a watercolour sketch of a tree in the distance, which was based on an oak tree that's not far from here. Birds chirping in the tree, celebrating spring with their song. That's what it says there, and a little bird. The little trinket things there. Some more journaling space, more journaling cards. And again, the blackbird appears. And he can come out. He's a little journaling card as well. I'll take him out. This little envelope here. The only thing I haven't done is altered any clips, paper clips, simply because I haven't had time to do it. But I will have a go at that later. And this says, I spied a spider in the early morning light, the weaver of webs. That was written by me because I liked it. Looking at a spider. And this opens out into a secret little tag spot. There, with the robin again. Close that after. And here we have the wily fox in the distance stares back at me. So they do, they stop and they stare. Then I did a little bit of, oh gosh, this bloody brain of mine, sorry. I did a little bit of stitching, and this opens up, it's like a flower, opens up with a bee inside the centre of it. And then she's down at the beach. One day whilst out walking, she found herself down by the sea, which is a little tag spot that fits there. And I've done some material, fabric, to make it look like the sea. This opens up to another tag spot with some pictures of simple drawings of fish and decorated paper. And that's one of my old prints that I used that I did a couple of years ago. And here is a tea bag art doing a starfish, a jellyfish there, another starfish. This opens up. The fish, to the sea I wander to wash away my cares. And then we have a seagull. Now I live in an area where there's a lot of seagulls, and if any of you do live in an area where there's seagulls, you'll know exactly why this is quite funny. Ever the opportunist waiting for food. Now, because we live in an area where you get a lot of holiday makers, they're always after your chips, and they sometimes attack people, but I just thought that was quite amusing in there anyway. And there's another painting I did plein air down by the sea, with some little jewellery bits of a starfish and a fish. Go with it. A little fish and a little jotter, little journal, jotter, whatever you want to call it. It goes inside with a jellyfish and a seahorse on the front that I did myself, and a starfish. And it says the deep blue sea, because it's the things that you find in the deep blue sea. Crinkly paper, the texture, I love this, which is tracing paper. And here's just a journaling piece of paper, which actually is a bit handmade, but it's not. I think it's out of a book, another journal that I had that I never use. A stamp. It's the only thing that, one of the few things I've done which isn't my own, was a stamp, because I was running out of time. So, and this said, she loved to watch the seals being released, finding their way home. Near where I live, I think there's a seal sanctuary, because they let them out in the sea, and one day I'm going to go down there and watch them. So if you can see that, it's a sketch of mine that I did and cut out, a bit of collage. And some more touch spots, a beautiful sea from Pixabay, a seal I mean, and a fish, and some stamps, fish stamps. And then in here I went down to the sea when I did the painting, and I got some seaweed and the crinkly paper, just have the crinkles, don't you just have the crinkles. And here it says good night. We have a moon, piece of jewellery, and some paintings of flowers that were painted as though at night time and lit up by the moon. A little picture of the moon. Again, I got that from Pixabay. A very quick sketch of an owl and a hedgehog, because they come out at night. And my moon gazing hare, which is one of my own images. Well, they're all my own images. And at the back of the book, I've put just the little robin, because he is the centre of the story, the protagonist. And if you look, it's quite a big gaiter. It's a lot bigger than what I normally do. Then lots of little bits of jewellery. I kind of had to rush this bit because I had to get the project in, because bear in mind it is the college. So, but I will be doing some more of these concept journals, because I thoroughly enjoyed that side of it. So there you go, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, just quickly before you go, a little jotter, another little jotter to go with it, the sketch. And I also had to make this, what's called a Turkish map fold, as part of the paper engineering for the project, and it opens up to a flower. It's one of my own images. I don't know if I particularly like the shape of it, but I guess it's made originally for maps that you put in your bag when you're going walking, so that was the idea behind it. I would have done a map if I'd had time to put in it, but I didn't have time. And here's a shaker, and this has got all stuff from the beach, shells, sand, all sorts of stuff in there. You can shake up. I had to stick glue around it to stop the sand from coming out. So still, you live and you learn. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel. If you do, there will be more in the future. And I look forward to seeing you back again. Bye.